The FIA race bosses had a super busy day today, and it looks like the new race director guy isn't playing around. But there were some things that could have been stopped from happening, and it messed up the race for drivers like SS and Hamilton. 2. The punishments were given out in a really strict way, and even though Norris was fighting with Sten for first place, that didn't change the mind of Marquez, the new race director, who made sure to follow all the rulebook. But when the safety car wasn't called out earlier in the race because of the broken pieces from Magnussen's car, and with a new statement from Ben Salam about the GPDA comments, is the governing body now in a more dangerous spot than before when it comes to leadership? It's safe to say that the FIA had tons of work to do today, and if you watched the race you probably noticed it was kind of like Formula 2 when it comes to the penalty system. Everything was written down, worked on, and given a proper punishment for. It all started with Hamilton making a false start, something that the British driver knew he was wrong for and said sorry to his team as he got a 10-second penalty. But it looked like the most annoying one was the penalty that Norris got once the safety car was finally brought out after the broken pieces on the track, and we'll talk about this more later in the video. If you watched the difference between Verstappen and Norris, you would have seen that the British driver got around 5 to 7/10ths of a second faster right away. Many people believed that the yellow flags were caused by Verstappen himself, but the Dutch driver reported that Norris didn't lift his foot off the gas pedal when the yellow flags came out, and this was reported by the team to the FIA. This made the FIA give a 10-second stop-and-go penalty for the McLaren driver, and since it was at the end part of the race where McLaren looked comfortable to give the final hit to Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, it has set us up for a very interesting race ahead of Abu Dhabi, where the Maranello team will have a 21-point gap to overcome. But obviously Norris would disagree with the penalty, and when he was called to serve it after the exit, he just asked straight up what he got the punishment for. He got support from another British guy, Jenson Button, the 2009 world champion and current Sky F1 commentator, calling the penalty a bit too harsh and unbelievably extreme, especially in the situation where it was given. While the penalty itself came a bit later in the race, it couldn't have come at a worse time for Norris, who saw himself having a shot at the win on a fresh set of hard compound tires. The 10-second stop-and-go penalty that he had to serve or accept a 30-second penalty at the end of the race ruined the chance for McLaren to give a massive hit to Ferrari's hopes in the Constructors' Championship, even though they made huge progress during the sprint race and got a 1-2 finish. The fact that Norris was able to score just 2 points in Piastri 17 compared to the 26 of Ferrari means that the battle will go down to the wire in Abu Dhabi, and if McLaren has someone to blame for it, unfortunately it's their own driver who just didn't pay enough attention to the yellow flag. And it's not just him who got punished, we're talking about pit lane rule breaking as well. Both the Mercedes drivers got penalties for driving too fast through the pit lane, as the safety car led the cars here instead of the main straight because of the process of cleaning the broken pieces that caused flat tires on both Hamilton and Sainz's cars. Hamilton got a drive-through penalty while Russell got a 5-second penalty at the end of the race, as it looks like both of them forgot to press the speed limiter when following the other cars. To top that off, the aggressive driving of Albon against Magnussen didn't go unpunished either. The Thai driver got a 5-second penalty for pushing the Haas driver a bit too hard from the outside. And all in all, the new race director has had his hands full even before the weekend started. Let's not forget the fact that Verstappen started second because of the ultimate and unique penalty that he was given after qualifying a one-place grid drop for blocking Russell. And yeah, by the way, the British driver was on a preparation lap, and you could make the argument that Verstappen wasn't driving unnecessarily slow, but his rival drove necessarily fast when he wasn't even in a fast lap in the first place. Verstappen himself was shocked that he even had to report to the FIA for this, because he knew right away that Russell was just not on a fast lap and he was preparing for one. And on a circuit that's very short and narrow in most places, it's very important to be aware of your surroundings. Did Verstappen block Russell? Quite likely, but that has been done by tons of other drivers as well, and none of them were punished. If we take the action in Vegas, which included a full-speed rejoin on the track by Sainz, and the ones in Brazil when Norris led the grid into an illegal formation lap that brought no penalties to either one, it's easy to assume that this is something quite annoying for the F1 fans. But again, we need to talk about a very important thing here. There were 2 full laps of racing in conditions that weren't safe when a piece of Magnussen's car fell off and was placed directly on the start-finish line. Usually this would have caused at least the virtual safety car and maybe had a race marshal run and pick up the part. But when Bottas was trying to get out of one of the Ferrari drivers' way, he ran over it and sprayed the broken pieces all over the track. This is likely what caused the flat tires of Hamilton and Sainz, and is definitely worth noting that the race director could have stepped in a lot earlier. And even when it did, it caused massive damage for one of the McLaren drivers, Norris. The British driver failed to lift when the first yellow flag was pulled on the track, and then again. It was obvious that the penalty given to Hamilton is something that raises questions as to whether or not it would have happened if the FIA stepped in the first place. Now, if you want to build a serious and highly respected institution in the sport. I think it would be gladly welcomed by the F1 drivers. However, it won't happen if you're just giving out penalties left and right in a bid to prove your point, while the drivers are just driving around a part that has the potential to do a lot more damage than it did. Although 2 flat tires is quite enough for the day, I would say. Nevertheless, this goes to show that the FIA, while trying to improve in the reconstructed manner with a new race director, still has a lot to be learned and put into practice, not just in the race in Abu Dhabi but also from 2025 onwards. And there's a situation here that needs to be explained, and that is whether the penalties deserve to be this harsh, and if so, how will the drivers respond to this? Let's not forget that there's an existing fight between the GPDA and the FIA, and if you are to add these penalties, it would surely start an avalanche of comments. To top that off, even the now former member of the FIA, such as the son of the co-founder of McLaren, Maya, said that Ben Sulayem doesn't like when somebody makes something that he feels is personal against him, which is why the entire reshuffle happened in the first place. And yet this comes from a man who was criticized for being present in the steward's room, a job that he was doing voluntarily in Mexico regarding Verstappen's penalties. So you could say that there's something awfully wrong going on in the FIA as we speak. Nevertheless, the messages from Ben Sulayem were loud and clear, and drivers should focus on racing and nothing more than that, while the FIA has its own duties to do. This comes after the message on social media was shared about the FIA not treating the drivers like adults. To this, Ben Sulayem took a bit of offense, and again, likely a personal thing, as he went on to say it's none of the GPDA's business. With all respect, I am a driver. I respect the drivers. Let them go and concentrate on what they do best, which is race. But okay, you want to know how much we paid in grassroots? I'll tell you, we've invested 1.3 million euros in grassroots last year, and I think that's a lot of money. In 2024 up to now, we've invested over 10 million back in grassroots, and that is in karting. The departures from the FIA are our business. We will do whatever is good for the FIA. So it's really none of the people's business to interfere in ours. It's the results that we produce. Do we have to tell them when something in the team changes? Do they tell us? No, they don't. Nobody has to. We have the rules. We follow our rules. We don't follow someone else's rule. Simple as this. With all of this in mind, do you think that the penalties dished out by the FIA were legitimate ones? And more importantly, do you think that there are some changes coming to the system if the drivers are going to complain a lot throughout the next couple of days? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in Hamilton's latest drama with Mercedes, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.